this connection between religion, the patriarchy, and the unhealthy place that men have ended up is profound.
Yeah, and I think when you tell a group of, I mean, I think there's a lot of things going on that are sort of like at play simultaneously. So like
Yes.
I think earlier I for one of y'all were talking about how like institution, like the institutions that people believe in like are starting to like crumble or people are just like stopping believing in them. I think it's not it's even bigger than institutions. It's like the American mythology that we tell ourselves is starting to crumble with the institutions. And so, like something that I was absolutely told growing up that I heard, it was reinforced by culture, it was reinforced by like everyone, is that like men have like two primary like reasons for existing, which is to provide and to protect. Like the economics of our society don't allow for that in the same way that they used to. Like if you're working class, like the likelihood you're going to be able to be a sole provider for your family is extremely low. If you're upper middle class, like the idea that you're going to be needed as a provider is also like really low, to be honest. Like women are going, we talked earlier, women are outpacing men in college, getting degrees. Um, and so like when those things start to fall apart and you've been told a thing your entire life, you get out into the world and realize it's not true. It creates like a deep well of cynicism. And I think that the biggest problem that we face in America, like, is actually cynicism, more than basically anything else, because I think cynicism is a lubricant for radicalization.
And for
And
despair.
mhm,
And the other word I would add there is humiliation.
mm,
I don't know
mhm.
how you think about that, but I think that people that become radicalized often have had an experience of humiliation that, I mean, it just gets written into their DNA. They cannot overcome it.
Yeah, that's really deep. I hadn't thought about that as much, but like that like aligns with like basically every conversation I've had
Yes.
about a lot of this work.
So why aren't we, so what gets in the way of us teaching? I don't mean us, like the three of us, God forbid, but someone who's more qualified teaching uh kids. I mean, so notice that the role of women has changed so much that we don't and we so undervalue the work that women have done raising children and taking care of homes, etc. That when women went into the workplace and started outpacing men, um, that has not been replaced. Like we so undervalue it, we don't acknowledge it, and then we don't allow schools to teach things like how to get along better, basic psychology, basic human interaction, how to know when you're feeling sad and when to reach out. These are things that traditionally mothers would teach their kids at home because they would observe them and see them in this relationship. So what keeps us, I mean, is it just that we're slow to change, that we don't figure out that this is missing and this is causing a lot of problems? Is it because we want to persist in the patriarchy or in misogyny where we don't want to value, we don't want to say that women have done really important work that we haven't acknowledged? Um, because it feels to me this is a systemic problem. All genders both suffer and all genders perpetrate this thing by not acknowledging human beings need to be trained on how to be in the world. And we stopped doing that. We even stopped Sesame Street. We even stopped Mr. Rogers. Like we even stopped the TV version of the mom, right? And so we do, how does it work that we don't just see that someone needs to do that? And if it's a missing piece, someone maybe you don't like very much is going to do that. Um, I'm just curious why we don't see that.
I think there's two things happening. One, I think, is a hopeful thing, and like a lot of my friends have recently started having their first and second kids now. And one thing that I've heard really consistently among folks who are older and them is that this seems to be the first generation of men that have sort of writ large started to take on like significant childcare responsibilities. It's not equal right now, but like I've heard this like very consistently from like a lot of different folks that like we don't really know what to do with it yet because it's actually such a new phenomenon. And like, like I can say that was, true of my parents growing up. It was mostly my mom. And so I don't think we totally know what to make of it yet because I think it's like still really new. I think the second piece is, like economically, we don't value women's work. Like anything that's sort of labeled women's work doesn't get valued in the economy. Like nurses don't get paid what they should get paid.
Well, they are starting to now that more men are coming into the profession.
And not all, but like many, I think also like we've seen like a rise again in sort of organized labor. And I think also like re the very recent sort of resurgence in organized labor also has like helped like in not in every place because not all nurses are unionized, but I think like that stuff has also been some of that has also been helping.